And we are live.
Ooh.
Hooray. I'm not entirely sure how this works.
You're in it?
Ah.
Oh, yeah, there we are. I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yay! Well, hi, Liz.
Hi, Allie.
We wrote a book this month.
We did. We read a good book this month.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so late to the party when it comes to a lot of super popular booktube books. So you finally giving me the push to read Strange to the Dreamer was exactly what I needed. I've had this ebook on my Kindle for probably 2 years now, and I just never read it.
I'm so glad I could give you that push. Hi, Heather.
Yeah, thank you.
We got one. We got one in the comments. I had no idea how many people were going to show up to this, honestly.
Oh, Heather. Oh, Ellie. She's my cat is sitting on my lap, and she gets mad every time I move. She's like meowing because I'm making too much movement.
Well, Ellie's the boss, right? That's how cats work.
Always.
All right. So,
that too.
Allie, this is your first live show, right?
Ever. Mm-hmm. In the history of my channel. I've been on BookTube for 2 years, and I have never done a live show, not even one time. But I'm glad it's with you. Like, there's no one else that I would want to do this with. So
honestly, I think this is a great situation because it's my first time leading a live show.
Oh, really?
Like, being that person. So neither of us fully know what we're doing. It's great. Here.
We're learning together. Here we are on a beautiful journey.
Yep. All right. So Strange the Dreamer.
Yes. And
this is your first time reading it.
My first time?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have only ever read one other thing by Laini Taylor. I think I read, I read her Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy a couple years ago. It's been a really long time. And I loved her writing and her characters. And I always knew I wanted to pick up something else by her, but I just never made the effort to get to Strange the Dreamer. So I'm glad that I did. Like, I finally understand the hype around it. And this is definitely one that I'm going to reread in the future because I feel like this is one of those books that you can't just read once. Like, it's so intricate and there's so much mythology that I think it deserves a reread to like pick up on all those little things, you know?
Yeah, the world building is so extensive.
I know.
Duology that like this was a reread for me. I read this about a year ago, and knowing what happens in the book and sort of like having that base knowledge of the world building and the mythology and all of it, going back into it, I was able to pick up a whole lot more nuance and detail. So
did you like it better the second time? Like, did it add something different?
I don't want to say I liked it better because I genuinely just loved it so much the first time around. There was definitely an added layer of depth. There's so much foreshadowing that I didn't pick up on the first time.
Yeah.
So I was listening to the audiobook because my job requires like the most minimal human interaction in the world. It's great. I love it. So I was listening to the audiobook and just hearing these bits of foreshadowing and detail, and I'm just like, oh my God.
Did you read the audiobook the first time too, or did you read it physically the first time?
Physically.
Cool. I might pick up the audiobook then the second time I read it. Like, would you recommend the audiobook? Like, was the
good?
For sure.
Cool. For sure. The narrator voice actor is very good.
Cool. So I'm surprised. I have a lot of opinions because, okay, I mean, I'm sure that you've seen reviews of this book, and the the most common thing that I've heard about it that kind of put me off from reading it is that I heard so many people say that there's no plot, or like nothing happens until basically the end, which, I mean, that's valid, but I just felt like I was never bored. Like, even when there wasn't a lot going on, I never felt like there wasn't a plot. You know, like there's a pretty intense central conflict for this story, and I was never like, I don't know, that just was never a thought in my head, like, to think that there wasn't really a plot, you know?
Yeah, and that honestly didn't occur to me the first time I was reading it. I had never heard anybody say that at that point. I think it's just so character driven. The whole book is character driven, that like you have this big central conflict, and then you have the characters' smaller conflicts within their relationships to each other.
Definitely.
That don't necessarily have a whole lot to do with the big conflict, but that's what really drives their emotions and their story, which I think makes it honestly so much like real life.
I agree. Oh, insta-love too. That was the other thing that I heard about this book. Like, oh, it's so insta-lovey. Again, I mean, that's a valid criticism, but I didn't feel like it was insta-lovey. I don't know. I've read other books that are way more insta-lovey than this, you know?
And something that you kind of have to remember when you're reading it is that for Sarai, at least, she is getting to know Laszlo without even speaking to him, because she's inside his dreams every night, and she's getting to know his mind, even though he doesn't like know that she exists.
Yeah.
He's seen her the one time they didn't speak.
True. Well, I liked
and
it.
They don't
like, even
know a whole lot of that.
Yeah. I thought that the romance was so cute and sweet. I don't know. I loved it. It was, yes, exactly. Like, it's just such a soft book. And it's kind of weird to say, because the conflict, like the plot, is so intense, and like a lot of the backstory is so violent and brutal, but then like the romance is super soft, and like the writing is beautiful, and Laszlo's just the sweetest little cinnamon roll. Love it.
I want to adopt him. He's my son.
Yes. I want to adopt both of them.
Yeah.
Happy life.
I think it's also great for showing how, you know, seeds of hope and love and all that is good in the world can still exist and grow in the face of genocide and, you know, all this horrible stuff that's going on. Like, there's still this little soft nugget of
who would you say your favorite character is?
Oh, I don't know. Sorry, I'm looking out my window and my neighbor's on his roof. Just startled me. I don't know. I think the first time I read it, Minya was my favorite character.
Same. Like, she's so interesting.
Right? And her backstory is so complex.
Yeah. I found myself like having to stop and be like, she's not exactly a villain, you know? Like, she is so complex and has such a tragic backstory where you can understand where she's coming from. So it's like, even though she's making interesting choices, and even if she's like kind of unfeeling and brutal in a lot of ways, like she is just so interesting. And I loved all of the scenes with Minya in it.
I'm gonna try to find the passage that was when I first like really honed in on who she is and what her character is. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. I'm not going to be able to find it. This book's too fat.
Yeah.
But it's when
pretty edition too, the blue one.
Oh, I bought this while I was living in Ireland, so I think it's the UK edition.
Yeah, those ones are way prettier than the US ones.
Yeah, so I got both of these while I was living abroad, which was cool. And then I came back, and I'm trying to get hardcovers, and I can only get the US edition. I want the US edition.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
But the scene where oh yes, Heather, there's that, and then there's the scene where she's in the heart by herself, and she's just kind of sitting there shaking, thinking about all the babies that she couldn't carry. Yeah, I finished that, and I just closed my book and sat there and cried for a good 10 minutes.
Yeah, those were rough, like especially the times like when she would kind of break that front, you know, because like with the rest of them, like she's really harsh and like keeps a tight leash even on the ghosts, and like, you know, she does, like she puts up a front that she's brutal and like unforgiving and like very single-minded, like for revenge and getting justice. But then like when she breaks that and you kind of like see her emotions come out, like during that scene, like her reflecting on not being able to save all of the babies. Ooh.
And you get so much more of her in Muse of Nightmares too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a lot more, not backstory necessarily, because you do sort of get her full backstory in Strange the Dreamer, but like it just shows a lot more depth to her character.
Okay, that makes me super excited to pick up Muse then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love this a lot. Like even, I don't know, I'm just like always in awe of Laini Taylor's storytelling. I mean, I loved Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I thought that the writing was amazing in that.
I still haven't read that one.
You haven't?
No.
You have to. It's really good. But this, I think, is like maybe a little bit less lyrical than the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, but there's still so many like quotable, highlightable parts, you know? Like there's so many times where I had to stop and be like, whoa, like that's a sentence, you know? And I highlighted so many passages on my Kindle just to go back and read because, I could never. Her writing is amazing.
It really is. It's honestly, it's just so dreamy, and she's really, she's spinning a whole tapestry of a world.
Yeah, for sure. What was your least favorite part of the book?
You know, I thought it was going to be the end the second time around. Probably the foreshadowing that I was picking up on, like, nope, I know what's going on here, and I don't like it.
I know, I feel like this book gave me like 50 gray hairs. Like it took off years off my life. It was so stressful towards the end. I would think maybe like that was my least favorite part is maybe just the pacing, because like it does take a long time to build up, and then like once it pops off at the end, it's like it does not stop. And I was just like,
yeah,
I had to go back and read some of it because I was like, oh my gosh, like things are happening. And oh my gosh, I have like so many gray hairs now because of this book.
right? No, it hits you like a tidal wave at the end.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And even though, when was this published? Did this come out a couple years ago?
Yeah, let me find it. 2017.
Okay, so since 2017,
actually, it's not as old as I thought it was.
I have somehow managed to avoid all spoilers, like for the end of this book. So I was completely blindsided with this ending. And I'm laying in my bed, reading my Kindle, like crying tears out of my eyes. Like, did not expect it.
I think it might be one of BookTube's best kept secrets, honestly. I think there are a lot of books that get so much hype, and like I felt like I knew Kaz Brecker before I even read Six of Crows.
Yeah, for sure.
But there are certain aspects and plot twists and things to all of these books that I get to them and I'm like, how did I not know about this?
That's exactly what I was thinking at the end. Like when everything pops off, I'm like, how did I not know that it was going to be like this? Like, because the way that everybody talks about this book is like, oh, it's so sweet, and Laszlo's like a sweet bean, and he's a librarian, and and so for pretty much the whole book, I was thinking that it was going in one way, because a lot of the book is like super sweet and soft, but then the end, wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. Definitely one of the best kept secrets.
For sure.
All right. So these questions. We just talked about our favorite and least favorite parts of the book. For those of you in the chat, I sent Allie some weirdly specific tea-related questions regarding this book. Here's what we got. Tea. I'm just going to read it straight from what I sent you. Tea is an antioxidant and known to have anti-aging properties. Did any aspect or part of this book make you feel young? And if so, which?
I would say this book made me feel the complete opposite of young. Like the stress, you know. But I do think that this book like really captured the essence of like that first love thing, like, you know, Laszlo and Sarai, especially because they are younger. Do they end up saying how old they are in this story?
I think Sarai is supposed to be 17.
Yeah.
And Laszlo is 20.
Okay. Yeah, I think that kind of like young love thing was captured super well.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I don't mind the whole like insta-lovey thing. It made sense within the story, and I thought it was cute. Like, I wouldn't say it was insta-love. So I think that, yeah, I would say that the romance like was very like young, you know, but like
green.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I also think Laszlo in general just sort of embodies like that hopeful spirit of youth.
Oh, for sure.
Like anything could happen. I'm going to go study fairy tales because that's what I want to do with my life.
His spirit of adventure, like his willingness to just like go out there and like seek the truth, you know, dedication to that. So good. Love that.
Love it. What else we got? All right. I feel so weird reading these questions, but
no.
It's thought to promote healthy eyesight, just as books promote healthy mind sight. I don't know what I was thinking there, but what was your biggest eye opener from this book?
Oh, I actually have a quote, I think, that fits this. Let me consult my Kindle. Okay, this was, I think, my single most favorite quote from the whole book. And it was when, I think Sarai is saying this. She says, good people do all the things bad people do, Laszlo. It's just that when they do them, they call it justice. Ooh, love that. Yeah.
I love it, and it kills me just how authors like Laini Taylor can pick up on something so, like, it's such a simple sentiment, but we don't think about it in real life. So to have her be able to point that out in the story.
And, in a sentence, like that was one that I read and I was like, I had to stop and think about that for like a good 5 minutes.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree with you on that one.
I love that question though. What was it? Healthy mind sight?
I
love that.
My neighbor's on his roof again. And I can just see him from the corner of my eye. I don't know what he's doing. No, I think he's patching something up.
Can you see?
He's got his back turned to me, but I just watched him crawl out their attic window.
Oh man.
Okay. All right. The next one was a little bit more normal, and that was what tea or other cozy beverage would you recommend based on this book? Because for those of you in the chat who don't know, this entire book club was inspired by a video done first by Jess over at Tundra Tomes, and then Allie did her own with the recommending books for tea and recommending tropes to go along with different types of teas, and that's where this entire book club came from.
I love it. So cozy. Maybe like a really good orange cinnamon tea or like a chai. I don't know. Like, is that that's what you think too, a chai?
Chai.
I would say like orange cinnamon, like something warm and comforting, but like with a little bit of spice, you know?
Yeah. I never thought about orange, but that makes sense.
I think that because of Sarai's hair, like what is it, like auburn, kind of like a reddish. So I'm like orange, orange cinnamon.
But also just like the way that the city of Weep is described in its prime, you know, before the Citadel, before all of that, and all of these fantasies that Laszlo has about it with the cakes on the windowsills and plums and fruit everywhere. Like, I can definitely see like an orange cinnamon tea.
Yeah. I loved all of those like blocks of description when Weep was being described that way, like with the market and just like all of that imagery.
Yeah. I want to live in Dreamer's Weep.
Yeah, me too.
With the centaur and his lady.
Oh, Heather said chamomile tea with cake.
Yeah. That for sure I can see.
Nice.
All right, but if you were to take that orange cinnamon tea and recommend another book.
Oh man. Let me think. That one's hard because I feel like I haven't read anything that's similar to this. Like, this is unlike any book that I've read in a really long time. So it's hard to like compare it, I think, to another book.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of elements that some other books might have to this. You know what? I'm going to say City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty.
See, I haven't read that one either.
That one, in its imagery, like the way that S.A. Chakraborty describes like the cityscape of Daevabad is very similar to Weep. Like the imagery and just like the warmth and the richness of the city, super similar to the way that Laini Taylor writes the imagery of Weep. So I think I would say City of Brass.
Yeah.
What do you think?
See, I sent you these questions and I was thinking about them all night. And now I'm trying to think about it again. And every book that I've ever read has just flown from my mind. It's honestly like so many of my friends will just ask me for book recommendations constantly. And I'm just like, I've never read a book. I don't know what that is.
That happens to me too. Oh my gosh. And then when people in real life are like, what's your favorite book? And you're like, let me think about that for a million years.
I went to a friend's place for New Year's. My boyfriend and I went and stayed over a friend's place. And at one point, the guy that we were visiting, he was like, "Oh, Liz, books. You love books. Come check out my bookshelf." So we went and we were looking at his bookshelf, and he's got all of these classics. And he like, not that he exclusively reads classics, but he has so many. And he was like, "What about you? Like, what are your favorite books?" And I'm just like, I read so much YA. Like, you're not going to know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Wow. I wish I could like classics. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. Like, I haven't tried a lot of classics. So I don't know if I really like them. Who knows, though? Maybe I'll read some in 2020. Maybe Little Women, since that's kind of popular. Who knows?
Love Little Women. You should definitely check that out. Also very soft. Yeah, I reread it in December before the movie came out. And then I dragged all my sisters to go see it with me.
Nice.
I think my issue with classics is not the books themselves, but the people who only read classics.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Because I minored in literature in college, so I was surrounded by people who exclusively read classics and just kind of shat on every other genre.
Yeah, and like the superiority complex that kind of accompanies that sometimes. Heather says, read Picture of Dorian Gray now.
I haven't read that one either.
I read that in high school. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely due for a reread. I feel like I don't remember a lot about it.
I'm just recently started rereading a bunch of classics that I read in high school.
Which ones?
Like I reread Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, cool.
And I'm mad at myself because I hated it the first time around, and part of me still wants to hate it. And I still do completely detest Holden Caulfield.
Yeah.
But after rereading it, I'm like, okay, all right, I see the point. I get it.
Yeah. I really liked that one in high school, but I was a super angsty kid. So
I read it at the same time as I was reading Perks of Being a Wallflower for the first time.
Oh, I love that one too.
And I think that so many people, they tell you if you love Catcher in the Rye, you'll love Perks. If you love Perks, you'll love Catcher in the Rye. And then I feel like there are a lot of people out there who love Perks and hated Catcher in the Rye, and I don't know why, because they're the same book.
I've never thought about that. I've never heard or seen the comparison, but yeah, that's valid.
Mm-hmm.
I have to reread both of them. I haven't read either of those in so long.
My freshman year English teacher made us read The Grapes of Wrath.
Ooh.
And then she told us 10 years from now, you're going to reread this book. And at the time I said, absolutely not. I'm never picking this up again. This is awful. But now here I am 9 years later, and I'm like, you know what? You know what I could reread right now? Read Grapes of Wrath.
You're fulfilling the prophecy.
Yeah. We're following instructions.
Yeah. My cat is down here being such a lazy.
Oh. I'd invite my dog in to say hello, but I doubt he'd get up.
We love lazy pets. Those are the best.
Oh, in my bed.
He's
got two of his own, but he likes mine better.
So since you've read both Strange the Dreamer and Muse, which one would you say you like more?
I think I like Strange the Dreamer more just because there are certain events towards the end of Muse of Nightmares that are necessary for the plot, but I did not like them.
So you're like, I can see why it had to happen, but I don't.
Yeah. Like, I can appreciate why it happened, but I'm not like.
Yeah. Well, I'm so excited to pick up the second one, especially because you said that Minya is in the second one more.
Well, she's not like. It's not that she's in it more. It's just like you get to see more of what's going on in her mind.
Okay. Cool.
Classics to me is not a genre. It's just old books that we still read.
Ooh. That's a hot.
It is hot.
I mean, I guess that's true.
Yeah. Especially because there are so many different types of classics.
Yeah, for sure.
That ranges all the way from, the beginning of literature all the way up to like the 1950s.
Yeah, for sure. I have a question. Ooh, this one just came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you could change anything about this first book, like what would you change? Like, was there like one thing that you were just like, I wish that would have been done differently?
I think I would have liked to have seen more of Errol Fane, honestly. I think the first time around I didn't really pay attention. And so getting to pay attention a bit more to him and his backstory the second time around, I would have liked to have seen more of it.
100% agree.
I think there's a lot of trauma there that just was not unpacked. And I get that it's not his story, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of those little, I mean, yeah, you're right. Because like, now that I'm thinking about it, like his backstory was pretty much only kind of briefly talked about, like in the grand scheme of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely wanted to know more about him and like his internal conflict, and then also him and his relationship to, was it his wife? I'm blanking on her name.
Azarine.
Yeah. I wanted to see more of their interactions, and like I wanted to get to know her more as well, because I feel like we didn't get a lot of her either, and she seems like a pretty interesting character too.
Well, then you'll enjoy Muse of Nightmares.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Cool.
Heather wants to know if is Muse of Nightmares a more fast-paced book? yes, but it's because it's more zoomed out. It's like I feel like I'm thinking in terms of photography right now. It's at a wider lens, at a wider angle than Strange the Dreamer, and it's because you have so many characters that you care about now, and so you're getting more characters, but you're not going as in depth. Like I feel like we went really in depth with Laszlo and Sarai. And so I guess it does feel more fast paced. Yeah. It also takes place over a shorter period of time. Just a lot of stuff happening all at once.
Yeah. One thing that I think I would have liked is to see, well, okay, so like in the beginning of Strange the Dreamer, when they're in the library, I wanted more of those library vibes, like, because the beginning starts and I feel like things pick up pretty quickly, like with Laszlo going to Weep and then the journey there. I think I just would have liked more of that kind of introduction with him before going to Weep. I can totally see why she didn't do that. Mm-hmm. But I just love those librarian vibes and I wanted more of that, I think.
Yeah, I think she could have expanded on his character a bit more just by like showing him in the library and giving us more of that backstory a little bit. And I think that would have been helpful for his character arc and growth and how he changes.
Yes.
I don't see a whole lot of change in Laszlo.
Heather says Laszlo is a bi-king.
Can you talk about how gay Thyone Nero is?
Is he?
Did you not get that vibe from him?
No, but now I need to like rethink my whole reading experience.
It was...
Is that how you pronounce his name? I couldn't really figure out. Thyone? Thyone, okay.
I think that's how it's pronounced. That's how it's pronounced in the audiobook.
Okay, cool. I was super interested in his story, like especially from the beginning, like with his dad being so mean to him and like him having that pressure. I definitely wanted to see more of that backstory. Heather says they're so gay for each other. I don't know if I just completely missed that. Like, am I just being blind?
Did you? Listen, I don't know about Laszlo, but the whole passage where Laszlo comes to Thyone and he's got the what is it, Miracles for Breakfast? The storybook. And Nero's just being a little bitch.
This is in the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's just being so mean and he's being such a little bitch. And like, yes, it could come off as pride. I mean, it is pride. But there's just a nuance to it. And I'm like, this boy's gay. I like dick.
Wow, I feel so dumb for not seeing that. Yeah. I'm gonna have to like rethink this whole thing. I guess like I'll have to save that for my reread to like really read into it the second time. I really liked Thyone's chapters. Thyone. I don't know why it sounds so wrong when I say it. Thyone.
Right? I'm gonna call him Nero from now on. That's an easier.
I really liked his chapters, like with him, those little snippets of him like trying to do, was it alchemy? Like with him trying to get the essence of his spirit. By spirit, did that mean blood?
No, so I'm like, they're not human in the sense that we are human, but they are. They have 2 hearts and 2 cardiovascular systems.
Okay.
So they've got their blood and then they've got spirit, I guess. And she doesn't really explain the biology behind that, but
yeah. So like when he's all locked up in his room, like training himself of spirit to try to do this thing, I'm just like, this kid is so interesting. Like I just wanted more.
He is the complete antithesis of Laszlo as well.
Yeah.
In literally every way. And like he straight up represents anxiety and all of this craziness.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, along with Errol, Fane, and Azarine, I would have liked to have seen more of him and his struggle.
Agreed. Also, can we just talk about like how badass it is that Sarai literally screams moths? Like Laini Taylor literally sat there and was like, a blue girl and she screams moths. Like her mind. You know, like that was just so badass. Like that image of Sarai being up in that statue screaming moth down onto this city. Amazing. Love that. I'll never get that out of my head.
I'm just like imagining that pitch meeting right now. Like I wrote a book. It's about a girl with blue skin and she just moths every night.
Moths every single night.
Yep. Like, where do the moths come from? I don't know. They're inside her. She doesn't know.
Loved that. Sorry, I'm still getting over my affliction.
My affliction. Right. Oh, is that true? A lot of people don't like Laszlo and Sarai.
I don't know. I've never seen that.
I've never heard that, but based on
totally valid.
how gay Nero is for Laszlo, like I can see it.
I need to reread that. I don't know. Maybe my mind just like wasn't in the game. I wasn't like picking up on it.
I can't wait for you to read Muse of Nightmares. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on the whole book.
Oh, I'm gonna be blowing up your DMs like with reactions. So
I'm gonna need it. Because I bought Muse of Nightmares before I even finished this the first time because I was so in love with it. I was like, I'm just gonna need to jump right into the second one, and that's what I did. So I sort of, in my mind, I think of them as just one story, one unit.
I feel like this is one of those books that you kind of have to like jump into like right away into the second one.
And it also picks up immediately where this one leaves off.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's a very seamless blend, which is why I'm like, I gotta bite my tongue a little bit because I know what happens in Muse of Nightmares. I don't want to spoil anything. But I keep checking myself. I'm like, oh, okay, no, that's not this book. No, that part's not this book either.
Oh, I can see how that's hard because you read them like back to back, and so it blends together.
Yep, it's just one big cohesive unit in my mind.
Yeah.
One brain cell, 2 books.
I wonder what she's coming out with next. Like all of her stories are just so unique and so different. And I'm just like, if Laini Taylor can write something this unique, I'm just really interested about what she's working on.
Mm-hmm. I need to read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. Just like
it's got cross lovers
on so many hyped books a year ago that I was like, I'm just gonna start picking them up. I don't care where they come from. I don't care who wrote them. I'm just gonna start picking them up.
Well, then we have to make a deal. Like, I'll DM you about Muse of Nightmares, and when you get to Daughter of Smoke and Bone, you have to tell me all of your feelings and reactions.
I love it. That'll be great.
Did we cover everything? I feel like
I think we did, unless there's any. That's all the questions that I had. We also asked a bunch of questions that were not in the message. Apparently they're in the same world. What?
Wait, like Daughter of Smoke and Bone?
What?
And Strange the Dreamer? Are
no, I really have to read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I had not heard that.
I didn't even think about that, but yeah, I can see. Yeah.
I also can see, yeah.
You have
having not even read Daughter of Smoke and Bone, because I know. I gotta turn my light on. It's getting dark out here. Having read Muse of Nightmares and just knowing about the expansion of the world building in this universe, I can see how they could potentially take place in the same universe.
You'll have to read Daughter of Smoke and Bone. I think you'll really like it.
I have been told that I will. It's not even that like I'm scared to read it. I just have had so many other books that I want to read and so many on my shelves that like I started the Folk of Air trilogy over the summer and I still haven't finished it. And just like I keep switching.
Did you read Wicked King yet?
I'm like halfway through it.
Okay. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that one.
Yeah. I know how much everybody loves Shooting Card, and I was like, I gotta see about this.
Yeah. That's a mood. That's basically how I pick my books, is like,
what's everybody talking about on Twitter?
Like, I want to join in. I want to join in on all the fun.
FOMO.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. So I can never stick
That's with kind of FOMO though, because you can take part without leaving your house.
Yes. Yeah, that's ideal. Well, thank you for chatting with me.
Covered everything. Thanks for joining me. I'm so soft. This made me really happy.
Me too. And like, this was such a good experience for my first live show ever. Like, it wasn't nearly as nerve-wracking as I thought it was going to be, because you're super easy to talk to.
So glad you had a good time.
And I can't wait to support you in all of your future live shows with your book club. I know. You're going to do great, sweetie. That meme.
All right. And thanks to everybody who joined, even if you're not still here. Thanks, Heather, for hanging out the entire time.
Thank you, Heather. Oh, and Lexi, the real MVPs.
Love you guys. All right.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.